Hello everyone and welcome to SUNUP. I'm Lyndall Stout. We saw our first really cold temperatures and hard freezes of the season this past week, which makes it the perfect time to talk about ways to get your home ready for winter. We begin with Dr. Scott Frazier, OSU Extension Energy Management Specialist.
Well, you want to concentrate on those that are going to give you the best payback in terms of the money you've spent. And so we don't concentrate on little things, we concentrate on big things. And so in the home, that's going to be the heating system, almost entirely. So any system that's associated with the heating system, including things that aren't part of the heating system like windows, doors, things like that. So for instance, windows, we can get a lot of air coming through the windows, especially older windows. And so there's things you can do, for instance, putting up sheets of plastic. You can go to a hardware store and they'll sell little kits that you can put on and you glue it to the frames of the windows, and then use a hair dryer to basically get the plastic nice and tight. There's a couple of ways to test for infiltration also. You can get an incense stick, wait for a windy day and go around to the windows on the inside and the doors and see if the smoke blows. Sometimes you can feel it on the back of your hand, and that's not a good sign. The reason that this is important is because that infiltration will affect the thermostat sooner or later, and the thermostat is basically going to start driving the heater. So in a way, it's actually directly connected to the heater, which is the big money user in this whole scenario.
Let's talk about the heater specifically, maybe some things I can do myself similar to those things you mentioned around the house.
Sure. One of the things that you want to take a look at is obviously the filters. If you don't know where the filters are, that's probably not a good sign, unless somebody else is changing them for you, in which case that's fine. But we want to make sure and change the filters, especially if you have pets, things like that. You probably should be changing the filters every 3 to 4 months if you've got pets. The other thing is a test that you can do with a little thermostat, like a food thermometer, excuse me. If I put the thermometer into an outlet where the warm air is coming out, I measure the temperature, and then I go find the return vent, which is usually a larger vent where the air is going back in. I measure that temperature and I see what the difference is. There should be about 15 to 20 degree difference between those two. Should be warmer, obviously, on the supply vent. If the temperatures are almost the same, that means that heat is not getting through somehow. And so that leads to seeing if, well, are the filters impacted? And if that's not the case, it might be time to call a contractor, things like that.
That leads me to the next question. When is it time to say, okay, I've done all I can and I need to invest some money in upgrading my system?
Yeah, well, some of it depends on the age of the system. For instance, in my house, everything is like 30 years old. And so I know that I'm living right on the edge. And so if I try these various things, like trying to get the air infiltration down, getting new filters in, things like that, putting up some kind of not glazing, but film on the windows, or even storm windows, something like that. And if I'm still uncomfortable, if my bills are still high, if the heater is running constantly, it's probably time to call in a contractor. And if the equipment's old, be ready, because it may be time to switch it out. These things are just machines. I mean, they're like cars. People expect them to run forever, but they're going to wear out. And so it's not the kind of news we want to get, but it's kind of inevitable, I suppose.
This is just one of many topics that you address on behalf of Extension, and you have several fact sheets available?
Yeah, we sure do, and they're on the OSU Extension fact sheet website. You can Google that, but I understand that SUNUP also has links to these.
That's right, and we will be talking to you again in the coming weeks. So thanks a lot,
Great.
Scott. And for a link to those fact sheets, just go to sunup.okstate.edu.